questions to ask throughout our campaign, with the confidence rising. I told WDF don't switch, good times are coming on even deep diving. Fan cams, reactions, watch alongs to the pride of London thriving. The Eagles of South, they flying. Keep your eyes on us, we ain't hiding.
Yes, guys, welcome back to episode 5 of Transfer Weekly, the show where we talk about all the rumours about any transfers coming in and leaving Crystal Palace in this summer transfer window. So today we've got a few attacking midfielders today, all 3 of them. We've got 2 from England, so 1 from the Championship, 1 from a top 6 team, and another 1 from the MLS. Let's get straight into it. Also, if you guys want to keep more up to date on the news, please check out our shorts, our TikToks, and what we upload on every other social media platform. But guys, let's get straight into this one.
Big up everyone and big up JC for allowing me to contribute to the updates for this episode of Transfer Weekly. Now, at time of recording, it's a Saturday. This has been released on a Monday, so this has been released Monday the 1st of July. So fingers crossed, Daichi Kamada should have now officially been announced as a Crystal Palace player. The reason we had to wait for the 1st of July is due to the fact that he's under contract still with Lazio, and we don't want to have any financial issues with them. But seeing as that's the 1st of July and the official end of his contract, he should officially now be announced, fingers crossed. And he'll obviously, as we know, he'll sign on a 2-year deal. Nusa and Bellingham seem to be the front runners as regards to potential targets for us and replacing Michael Olise. Now, Nusa is reportedly really interested in obviously signing for us, which will be great. With Bellingham, it's all going to be down to the transfer fee because I believe Sunderland are trying to hold up for 20 million plus. Matthias Sula is another one of these options. However, with him, I think the fee, I believe Juventus want in excess of 30 million pounds. So we're going to have to wait and see with that one because he is a target. He is wanted by the club, but I think they're trying to not spend too much on one player because you could get multiple targets for that value. Personally, I think anything over 30 million is a bit much, but if it is 30 million pounds, I think go for it. Quality talent. Moving on, Olise has been reported to have completed his medical with Bayern Munich. But obviously, as reported in the shorts, the fee seems to be the stumbling block. Bayern Munich want to pay £43 million up front. We are holding out for 50. We want all 50 million to be paid up front, and that seems to be a stumbling block. Now, granted, this is a Champions League team, multiple trophy winners. I'm sure £7 million won't be a major issue, so I'm expecting them to pay this off regardless, but that's what's holding up the deal as it stands. Eze is also a target for multiple Prem clubs, including Tottenham, Man City, Arsenal and Liverpool. And obviously with the pending departure of Michael Olise, this is not something we need to be trying to entertain. But it could happen. It could happen, so we have to sit tight and wait and see for this. But there are reports saying that he's actually happy at Palace. He's happy that he's getting the game time and he's happy with the project at hand. Lastly, some academy news. So Scott Banks has officially gone and signed for St. Pauli. Kamadi Gordon has now officially signed for Colchester. David Ozo is wanted at Plymouth and by now manager Wayne Rooney. Malachi Bolton is also wanted by teams such as Exeter, Stevenage and Northampton Town. So that brings us up to date with all the updates. Back to JC and for this episode of Transfer Weekly.
Cheers, Rich, for the updates. First up, we have Gabriel Sara, the 25-year-old a Brazilian attacking midfielder is a target for Crystal Palace in this summer transfer window. This has previously been accelerated purely because of the recent interest that there has been in Eze. This has recently been accelerated purely because of the interest in Olise and the fact that he is signing for a new team. There is also the part that Rich has spoken about with apparently Sule is going to cost too much, so he would be another person to replace him in that position. Also, with how he plays, he could also be a fit for an Eze role, depending on whether Eze stays or goes, but also reports are saying that he's happy at Crystal Palace, and he is happy to play in an Oliver Glasner system. Sara currently plays for Norwich City in the Championship, and his contract expires in 2026. This means that Norwich can uphold a very strong starting price, and they can negotiate what kind of price they want to sell him for. He has only ever had one injury in his whole playing career, and he's been playing professional football since 2019. And even then, I think he only missed 6 games from a knee injury. But since then, he's started every game that he's been fit to play. He's either started or he's come off the bench. So that is something that is unheard of for a Crystal Palace player. Also, this season, he's started every single game that he has played this season. So it's 46 total games for Norwich City this season, scoring 13 and assisting 12. In the Championship, that is an absolutely incredible achievement. He is a similar player profile to Michael Olise, where he's someone that likes to drift out wide to the right, cutting on his left foot, and likes to shoot, likes to pass, and, just likes to cause havoc with his dribbling and his technical ability. The only difference that it is with a Michael Olise is that he is able to play all along the front of the pitch. So he's able to play left attacking midfield, central attacking midfield, and the right attacking midfield. But he does prefer either the central or the right role. However, he can drift out to the wide left and then put a ball in with his left foot just as easily as he can cut in from the right and shoot on his left. Purely because of this versatility that he can play left attacking mid and right attacking mid, it gives Glasner a lot of options whether to play him on the left or the right. It doesn't really matter, and that is the kind of versatility that Mr. Oliver Glasner needs in his system. Some attributes about this player which I think are very interesting is that he is a dead ball specialist, so he's able to take every free kick. He takes loads of corners. He scores goals from free kicks. I think he's gotten about 4 or 5 assists just from taking corners so far this season for Norwich, so very good with the dead ball situation. He's a great passer. He likes to link up the play very well, like one touch, and also he is Brazilian. He's got that bit of flair. There's been multiple times where the ball's been fired into him. He's had a check over his shoulder, seen the striker running, and he does a back heel in behind, and they've gone on to score. So he's got that little bit of trickery about him with the tricks and flicks, to throw off defenders. He's also extremely physically strong, so he's able to run with the ball. He's able to hench off other players, and he's actually pretty good in the air. He's scored a few headers, which is pretty impressive for an attacking midfielder. That's normally not what you get from him. He has a incredible left foot. I wouldn't say it's as good as Michael's, but it is a very good attribute for him as a player. His close control, his dribbling, and he's able to keep the ball in very tight situations by using his left foot. But he is also capable of using that right foot, which is something that we didn't really experience with Olise because he was so good on his left that he didn't even need to use his right. But if Sara can use both feet, maybe not as good as each other, but he's still confident on both feet, that's something else that other teams will need to fear from us. Also, he does have the ability to play in that central midfield role, so Glasner can put him back there if we have multiple injuries. However, with Decore, Lerma, Wharton and Hughes, I don't think he'd really be playing in that position very much unless we have an absolute injury crisis, but I really hope that's not the case. Overall, I think that he's going to be a very good player, but I do think he'll cost quite a bit. I'd say between 15 and 20 million pounds. I think it'll be a decent Olise replacement. Obviously, he doesn't have the quality that Olise had, but, we bought Olise, he didn't have the quality he had then as he did now. But, the attributes he's got, the fact that he can play in different roles, and I think that he'd be a very good player to fit into this Oliver Glasner system. Let me know. Do you think that this would be a good signing? Because before I even looked at him, I thought he was just a bog-standard defensive, or not even a defensive, a bog-standard 8 midfielder. But after watching this, I'd say he has jumped up on my ranking quite a bit. Thiago Almada, the 23-year-old Argentinian attacking midfielder, is a target of John Textor's. But why are we talking about this, you might ask? This is because there is a plan with John Textor to purchase him as a Botafogo player and then to either sell him or loan him to one of his other teams, whether that be in Crystal Palace or Lyon. Whether this be either straight away or after 6 months or after the work permit has been secured, I don't exactly know. However, unfortunately, because of the reports of John Textor saying that he wants to sell his stake and Also reported by Fabrizio Romano, there's a plan for him to go to Fogo and then to Lyon. I'm almost 100% he's not coming to Palace because he's previously wanted to sell his stake. Even though he is a profile of player that Crystal Palace are looking into, I don't feel like if someone wants to sell a part of a club, I don't think they're going to spend this much money on a player for a club that he's going to want to sell. But anyway, let's talk about him as a player. Almada is a very highly rated attacking midfielder, and in the MLS, he's widely regarded as the best player in the league. The World Cup winner, his contract does run out in December 2026, so he's got 2.5 years left on his deal, and I feel like he's going to cost quite a bit because of the length of his deal, the clout around his name that he's apparently one of the best players in the MLS, and also his age is on his side. But before we really delve into this guy, we need to talk about the league he plays in. He plays in the MLS, which is not regarded to be the best league in the world. It's not the worst league in the world, but it's not the best league in the world. And everything I say, even though I'm going to say it's very good, remember it is in the MLS and not everything translates from the MLS to the Premier League, as we have seen with certain players that have made the move before. Firstly, we are looking at another dead ball specialist here. He's able to take free kicks, and he's got a surprisingly high conversion rate for them, 16%. Doesn't sound very high, but then if you think about it, it's every 10 free kicks that he takes, he scores 1 and a bit of them. Which, to be fair, if you're taking a lot of free kicks, and this is not even just free kicks in front of goal, this is just free kicks in general. So, I think this is a very good stat because whenever he's in range, he's going to shoot, and most times he actually gets it into the net. He has played multiple positions at his time at Atlanta, and he's played positions such as left wing, 10, and even the 8 position, but he's thrived the most in that number 10 position, purely because he likes to pick the ball up from deep, turn and drive at defenders, do some nice touches to wriggle his way through defenders and just get away from some midfielders as well. He's a very good passer. He does like to link up the play very well. He's got a very sharp mind, so he'll pick up the ball, look up, and he can see a ball to break the lines, and he'll slot that through 1-2 touches, and sometimes he'll even do it 1 touch as well to just throw off the defenders really nicely. Also, for someone that's so short, I think he's 5'6", 5'7", not the tallest guy in the world, but he's very strong on the ball. He sort of uses his body weight and the momentum of his body when he turns to sort of use that as strength to shield off players. Like we can see it in multiple examples that he'll stop the ball, the defender will try and reach around beside him, and as he's sort of turning, he'll roll his back onto them and roll them off the ball. Like, it's quite a nice technique to use because he's not the strongest guy in the world, but because he does this with the momentum of his body, it sort of gives the illusion that he's very strong and he can just roll people off of him very easily. Finally, I'd say that he is very, very composed in front of goal. He's got very diverse way of scoring. He's able to finesse the ball into the corner. He's able to strike the ball with power. He's able to place it. And also he's done a few chips as well. So he's got a lot of composure in front of goal. And for someone that just shoots at long ranges, he scores so much from outside the box. And that's something that, us as Palace fans, we've wanted to do it more. Obviously, since Glasner's come in, we've been shooting a lot more. We've been shooting from outside the box. But it's nice to have someone that will come in and that will just shoot from, I wouldn't say he'd just take bad shots just randomly. I'd say that he takes very calculated shots from a long range to try and work the keeper. And then also, when he's had one of those shots, there's been times where the keeper saved it, but because we've got runners into the box, the other strikers put the ball in the net. So Almada's a very good footballer, Overall, I do think he's going to cost a lot of money. Transfer marks say it's going to be 27 million euros, roughly, but I do think he'll cost a little bit more because of the age. And also there's been other reports of 30 million, 35 million. And that's just crazy money, man. Also, I don't think it'll happen to go into Palace, and I do still think that it'll be Lyon just because of what Textor has said and what he wants to do. But I have to say that if this does happen, Lyon have got a serious talent on their hands. I mean, I would be getting a little bit more excited if I thought there was any chance whatsoever because, maybe Dougie and Parrish could maybe, have a little chat with him, say, look, Like, we've got something really good going on here. Don't sell just yet. You know, this guy could really come in and replace Michael Olise. But in my opinion, he doesn't fit that kind of profile. But he would be someone that I'd look for to maybe replace Eze. But if Eze is happy, then I don't want to get rid of him to get in this guy that's untried in the Premier League. But what I need to say is that it is still the MLS, as I said earlier. And it really reminds me of Almiron. You know, he was so good in the MLS and Newcastle bought him. Granted, he has had some serious purple patches at Newcastle. I think 2 years ago he was scoring for fun. Everyone had them. Everyone had that guy in their FPL team. But after a month or two, then he just went back into what he has done and Newcastle fans just want him gone. The thing is, we want someone that's got that constant brilliance and not someone that has a purple patch here and there. So for this reason, I'd say no to Almada. However, if he does go to Lyon and he smashes it consistently, then I'll happily eat my words and say, yo, listen, Almada, I'm sorry, man, but it is what it is. Like, you can only go off history. You can only go off what you've seen before. Emile Smith Rowe, the 23-year-old attacking English midfielder that currently plays for Arsenal, has got some solid links to Crystal Palace again. I think this is 2 years in a row now. Obviously, before the window opened and before I did any research whatsoever, I was sitting here thinking Emile Smith Rowe would have been the person that I would have chosen to be my number one target if Eze was to move on in this summer. But first off, we have to talk about the club that Emile Smith Rowe currently plays for, because Arsenal have put a new valuation on Eddie Nketiah, someone that they want to leave the club. But the valuation of 50 million on Eddie Nketiah's head, to me, it sounds like they don't want him to go. And, you know, from my time speaking with a certain Arsenal fan, shout out Crab, he says that he would pay Palace 50 million to get rid of him. So Palace would be £50 million richer and have an Eddie Nketiah. But I would still not want him. That's a lie. I'd still have him because a £50 million would be sweet. But if he's going to cost 50 million and he's rubbish, what would someone like Emile Smith Rowe cost? Emile Smith Rowe's got some quality on him. So if you use the same logic, he would cost 60, 70, I don't know. But that's only in Arsenal's eyes, remember. So that's not what I think he's worth. Some reports are saying in the region of £30 million. And for someone that's got quality in an Arsenal team, it makes you wonder, why is he so cheap? But let's get into that. So we have to talk about what he's good at. So Emile Smith Rowe is another attacking midfielder who can play through the middle or in the left attacking midfield role. He's a 10 that loves to pick up the ball and drive towards defenders, sort of like Eze, really, but just a little bit slower. You know, I don't think he's got the same sort of swagger as Eze has, but he's still a very technically gifted footballer. He doesn't really use skills or that, but for him to make his way through players, he does nice touches. He's not got the most pace in the world. He's not the strongest guy in the world, but he's very good at doing 2-3 touches in very rapid succession. Like, he can touch the ball with his right foot, then his left foot, and then his right foot in different strides, and then just sort of chink, 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 and then he's gone, in it. He can do that. He's not the most physical guy in the world, but like I said, the ball control is absolutely incredible. Oh, that's a pause, isn't it? He's able to make really quick, incisive passes. When he picks up the ball and he runs into some space, he's able to look up and see what's happening. You've seen him many times dribble past someone, look up, hit a crossfield ball, put a ball in behind for someone like Lacazette or someone to run onto. This is in his Arsenal days, by the way. And, you know, he's able to pass without breaking his stride. And that's something that Eze does really well. It's sort of a way of passing and catching the opponent out, because normally when footballers pass, you know, they got the back lift and then they put their foot through the ball. But what him and Eze can do is that when they step towards the ball to run and then dribble the ball, they sort of kick the ball with the step out foot, so you can catch people off guard, and also you can actually kick the ball very hard like that, so you can fire the ball into a dangerous area and cause problems for the opposition team. Personally, I think Smith Rowe and Jonathan Rowe, which is a little bit ironic, are probably the two players that I think closely resemble someone like Eze, and I think they'll both be good replacements for Eze. But, you know, if Eze's happy, you know, I'm happy that he's happy for Glasner's plan, and I want him to stay. But the big elephant in the room is he's a great player, but he's only started 3 games in the last 2 seasons for Arsenal. And this is for two different reasons. I think the first one is that he was playing constantly for Unai Emery, who really enjoyed him. You know, he could fit in his system. You know, he could play through the lines. He could do what Emery wanted. But in Arteta's system, he just doesn't seem to be a fan, doesn't want him to play, doesn't give him the freedom that he used to have under Emery's system. I do think he would get that freedom in Glasner's system, but he's just not having the opportunity to display his talents in Arteta's Arsenal team. So it tells me that he hasn't got a space in that team, and also he does wear the number 10 shirt at Arsenal. And, you know, obviously it's just a number, but the number 10 is a player that you want to see on the pitch week in, week out. And if Smith Rowe doesn't fit the bill, then, you know, he might have to make a move to try and find some regular football. But for me, the reason why we're going to cut the Emile Smith Rowe segment very short is purely his injuries. So in a total amount of games for him to play as a professional, he's only played for 5 seasons. So that would be maximum 180 games. However, because of his injuries, he has missed 138 games in his playing career. And remember, he's still only 23. And the amount of injuries that is just unexcusable, really. I can't make any excuse. I can't talk about it. I can't even try and rationalize it. But because of that and the amount of money that Arsenal are going to want for him, I can't even continue talking about this guy. Granted, he's an incredible footballer, but for financial sense and for the sake of the football club and the medical staff, I would not like to have Emile Smith Rowe at the club. Great player, too injured, too much money. And guys, that is it. Thank you very much for watching. This was Transfer Weekly episode 5. Please remember to put all your suggested players in the comments below, and we'll look into them in the coming weeks. This is going to be personally my last Transfer Weekly for maybe the next 2 or 3 weeks, but we will see what happens. I may or may not feature in them, but I hope you guys enjoyed. Please like, share, and subscribe. And guys, as always, up the Palace. Eagles.